What's going on, everybody? I'm Primalliquid, and we are at that time of year once again, everybody. It is Black Friday, and coming up, it is going to be Cyber Monday. Which means, however, now is one of the best times to get equipment for streaming and creating YouTube videos. So what I've done is I've browsed across the web trying to find the best deals possible for you guys. And to avoid any unfortunate situations where a deal is only available in the UK or the US, I have only chosen deals that is able to be bought worldwide. So one of the things I would suggest doing is when you see some of these items on the list, maybe take a look at some of the actual region-specific stores like Best Buy in the US and so on and so forth, and just double check the prices. Also, everything in this list will be down below in the description as well. Most of the things will have a referral link from me, but again, that's just a small kickback if you decide to make a purchase. It's not going to make anything more expensive or anything like that for you. But without further ado, let's jump into the list, shall we? And first up of all, we have microphones. Audio quality is one of the most important things when it comes to content creation. If you sound like you are speaking into a potato, people will click off that video almost instantly. And there are 3 microphones I have here for you. The first one is a just downright amazing deal. It is the HyperX Quadcast microphone. There are 2 models of this microphone. There is the S model, which is the improved one, and then there is the original Quadcast. Now, if you went for the S model, that is currently 44% off for $89.99. In dollars, that's probably going to be around $95 to $100, something like that. Not 100% sure on that one, I apologize. However, if you were to downgrade slightly, the audio quality is pretty much the same. Like, the S is a little bit clearer, but in general, there's not a huge difference. You can pick up the original for $59.99, which is 50% off. Now, if you are tight on budget, this right here is an absolutely amazing entry-level microphone. And if you want something that will last you even longer, the Quadcast X is more of a mid-tier microphone. Honestly, you could get this, and like, this is a better microphone than I use. And keep in mind, I've just hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. This microphone is cheaper than mine, and it's better than mine. Okay, so if you want truly next level quality, this is going to be the microphone to go for. But again, you can go the Quadcast, which is even cheaper, and that microphone is roughly on par with the one I am using right now. If you're curious which one I'm using, it is the Audio-Technica AT 2020 USB version. It is not the XLR version or anything like that. It's just the bog standard one. But this one, it's kind of past its age now. Microphones have improved a lot since then. Other than that, there is a third microphone that you can also take a look at, which is the tried and true Blue Yeti. This one's not much of a deal, unfortunately. It is only 25% off for $89.99. It is a downright amazing microphone, though. This is a truly good microphone. You don't need any attachments or anything like that for this. In fact, I should probably say you don't need any for the HyperX either. Both of these have built-in pop filters, so you don't need to buy anything like that. The only thing I might suggest is picking up a boom arm for them, which, as you can see right here, you know, HyperX do their own for $21.49. That's kind of a bad deal, if you ask me, just from looking at the arm right there. I can tell it's a low-grade one. If you are going to get a boom arm, make sure you go for the Rode PS1. Brilliant boom arm. I've gone for about 5 or 6 different booms now, and this is definitely the best one I've ever had. Easily worth the money for this boom. But yeah, so the Blue Yeti, it is more expensive than the Quadcast, unfortunately, and in my opinion, it actually sounds a little bit worse, but again, that is going to be down to personal preference and things like that. I just think the Yeti sounds worse than the Quadcast. However, that is up to you to decide. Do you want to spend a little bit extra? Do you think it sounds clearer? That's up to you. What I would suggest doing, though, if you are unsure, just search on YouTube for a review of the Blue Yeti USB microphone, and then do the same for the Quadcast, and just compare the two. See which one you think sounds better, and then you can make your decision. In my personal opinion, I think this is still overpriced for a Blue Yeti. Even the non-sale price, I think, is overpriced. Blue Yeti, while it does have good performance, it has sort of fallen behind the times a little. But in my opinion, Quadcast is the way to go. So, now that we have finished talking about microphones, let's take a look at cameras, shall we? Okay, so when it comes to cameras, I have 3 different cameras for you on this list. They are not DSLR cameras or high-end actual cameras or anything like that. They are webcams. However, they are perfect for beginners and mid-tier content creators, okay? You don't want to go out and buy a really expensive fancy camera when you are just starting out, or when you just start making money on YouTube or Twitch. Save the high-end fancy stuff until you are making at least a few thousand per month, okay? It is simply not worth going high-end before that. As long as you have semi-decent quality, it will be fine. And all 3 of these cameras nail that perfectly, okay? So, to start us off with, we have the Elgato Face Cam, okay? It is 1080p, 60 FPS, true full HD, yada yada yada. I know that doesn't really mean a whole bunch. However, what is good is it does have built-in zoom, which is really nice. It is a wide angle webcam as well, so you can fit a lot more in. Like right now, my lens I am using on this camera is not really a wide angle. That's why, you know, I'm sort of super zoomed in and all things like that. This one is really, really nice for if you want to capture more of your background. And of course, if you wanted to, you could always crop that image as well if you wanted to look sort of like I do on this cam, where, you know, I'm sort of the focus, you know what I mean? You can easily crop that in OBS. It has good light correction as well. And if you want to see this camera in action, Harris Haller on YouTube has actually done a really, really good review of this camera. In fact, I believe he's done a really good review of all 3 of these cameras that I'm going to show you. So that is absolutely worth checking out as well. But this is not much of a deal. It is £20 off in the UK, probably roughly the same in US, which is 14% discount. But it is a nice starting camera. Not the best though. I would genuinely say maybe go for a Logitech C920, which is cheaper and it does look a tiny little bit worse, but honestly with good lighting you won't notice the difference really. And in my opinion, I would say go C920 if you are a beginner. The only problem is it's not on a Black Friday deal that I have managed to find, so it's not allowed on this list. The next camera is the Logitech Stream Cam. Now this is a good deal, okay? So it is a USB-C connection. It has AI-enabled facial tracking and autofocus. So if you sort of, you know, if you sort of move around a little, right, then the camera will actually sort of follow you a little. Now the actual body itself won't move. This essentially creates like an artificial zoom, basically, and that's why it can follow you around when you move your head left and right and so on and so forth. This is honestly a phenomenal deal, okay? Especially when combined with good streaming lights, which we will be getting to in this video. This is a great starting and mid-tier webcam. It is only $74.99. It is 46% off right now and is easily the best bang to the buck on this list. Now, for the third and final, we have the Razer Kiyo Pro. This one is... I'm a little iffy on this one myself. It's only 13% off. It is still £93, but it is a good camera. It is wide angle, it has adjustable field of view, it has HDR, and it has adaptive light. Now, the adaptive light is probably the best feature of this combined with the wide angle. This is going to make it so much easier if you're streaming in really dark or really bright locations. So maybe you're not used to controlling your stream lights or something like that. This webcam will help adjust that to improve your quality. But again, I'm not a huge fan of Razer products just because I don't have a good track record of Razer working. But again, if you are fine using Razer, this is probably the better go-to camera, even than the Logitech. as you are starting out. But again, it depends on how you feel about using Ryza. If you've had problems with them in the past like I have, then go with the Logitech more than anything. Elgato is a good camera, but it is expensive. It is overpriced for what it is, for sure. So if you are in the need for a new camera, go for either the Logitech or the Ryza Kyo, okay? It's just a shame that Elgato have not got their latest and greatest on sale, but it is incredibly new, so what can you expect? Right, next up, let's talk about lights, shall we? So, when it comes to streaming or just creating video content in general, one of the most underlooked and one of the most important aspects is your lighting, okay? Lighting plays a big part in both creating detail on yourself, and it helps you with creating focal points. For example, I have 2 Elgato key lights. Yes, they are way too expensive for what they do, but it allows me to control them from the PC, which is kind of nice. So what I mean by creating focal points is what I could do is I could turn this side to a nicer orange shade, make it quite warm, and then I could lower the brightness a little bit, and that creates the nice shadow down on my face here. So it sort of gives you depth, you know what I mean? It will improve the overall video quality, and it will also make you stand out more, especially if you use a quite a good bokeh effect for your background. It just gives you more depth of field, and it makes you stand out a little bit more. Personally, I don't like using that though. I prefer just the cool look on the camera, on the lights, rather than the warm, so I just keep mine sort of white, you know what I mean? But for lighting, we have a really good deal. We have the 2-pack newer tabletop LED lights. These are a really good set of lights, and these were actually what I was using originally before I upgraded to the Elgato. They come with little slips right here, and you can insert these little slips into the light itself to give you a little bit of an RGB effect. So for example, if you were to use red on one side, you would create a red light sort of coming at you, and these are great for both just lighting yourself up, but also for background lights. So for example, if I was to get these, what I would do is I would probably use one of them with the blue filter, and I would sort of have that over here on the side, and I would have it pointing behind me, because then that creates a more distinct backlight as well, further improving my standout in the actual camera. Unfortunately, I got rid of mine, so I can't do that. Oh, I wish I knew more about lighting back then before I did that, but it is what it is. And honestly, for 31, you really can't knock that. That is a really good deal. It's 27% off. They are both powered by USB, and they will have little switches on the side. So if you're fine with getting up and pressing a switch, these are definitely the best way to start streaming and recording videos for your lighting. If you want something a little bit more expensive, but not really that much better, you can go for the Elgato Keylight Air. This is a really good bright light, and honestly, there is only 2 situations that I would ever suggest going for this, okay? The first one is if you have a Stream Deck, because you can control it from the Stream Deck, so you don't have to move or anything like that. And the other is if you want to actively control it on the fly. So it does have a desktop app that you can use to control the lighting and the color. However, one thing to note is a problem with all Elgato lights: they suck on internet connection. I have to routinely reset mine, just because they will randomly not pick up the Wi-Fi. If you cannot pick up the Wi-Fi on them, you cannot use them. Okay, so do keep that in mind. Obviously, you can use the phone app and things like that if maybe your PC is disconnected, but it is one thing to keep in mind. At least with the newer, that's a simple switch. You can always use them whenever you want. Right, now with lighting out of the way, let's move on, shall we? So, when it comes to actually creating content, you need a PC capable of doing that. And right now, there are some freaking insane deals on PC components, okay? Honestly, if I hadn't recently rebuilt my PC, I would be all over these. Honestly, I feel kind of bad. I have worse parts that were more expensive than these ones we are about to look at right now. For example, you can get a Ryzen 9 7950X, which is a 16-core CPU, which is perfect for editing, streaming, things like that. It has a really good boost clock, perfectly fine for gaming, to be honest, and it is 25% off. You can pick this up for literally £570. This is a better CPU than I have, and I paid nearly 800 for mine, although I did get mine kind of during the scalping era, unfortunately. But this is honestly a phenomenal deal if you are going to use the cores, okay? If you are a big editor, big streamer and things like that, this is definitely a worthwhile deal. However, if you are more of a gamer and then a casual creator, I would suggest looking more at the next two that we are going to look at. The next one being the 5800X3D. This is a CPU pretty much designed around gaming, okay? This is literally the gaming CPU, or at least it kind of was, to be fair, not so much anymore. But for £340, this makes it a really good budget CPU at 35% off. And since it's the 5800, chances are, if you are on a Ryzen CPU right now, your motherboard can very likely support this. You just might have to have a BIOS update. And then moving on, we have the Ryzen 7 7700X. This is also one of the latest Ryzen CPUs. It is 8 cores, 16 threads, so it does fall behind a little bit on the content creation side, simply due to the fact it's less cores. But again, the turbo speed really more than makes up for that. It is a phenomenal chip, and this is probably the one I would go to for a more gaming focused player rather than an actual content creation side, because at £359 this beats out the 5800 3XD. It is much faster. I would definitely strongly suggest this. And then, you know, maybe if you don't want anything so new, if you're a little unsure on, you know, like being a kind of early adopter, then go for the 5800X3D. A little bit worse on performance, but still at the price range, you really can't complain, to be fair. Now, if you do go for a 7700X or a 7950X, then here is some RAM to go along with your new CPU, because both of these CPUs support DDR5. And right now, DDR5 is normally very expensive. However, Corsair are selling some Corsair Vengeance DDR5 32 gig kits at just $148.49. That is 50% off. This is freaking insane, okay? This is absolutely madness. It is two 16 gig sticks, so more than you will need for gaming. This is more than you would ever need for just gaming. If you are streaming or doing content creation, this is a brilliant deal. But again, you need a CPU that supports DDR5, and of course you would also need a motherboard that supports both of them as well. I did have a look for some good motherboard deals, but I couldn't find any. I apologize. So maybe, you know, have a little look around yourself and see if you can find a motherboard that would support both of these in your price range if you are looking to upgrade. But if you do need RAM, this is a phenomenal kit, and I believe the 232 gig is on offer as well. No, the 232 gig is not on offer, unfortunately. However, if you need that much RAM, then go for it, because 352 is still a great deal. And now onto the final PC part. It is storage. Now, when it comes to storage, this is multifaceted in what it can be done for. So obviously it will improve loading times for games. However, there are a few other things. Firstly, it will be easier to record in higher quality, because yes, recording does have speed requirements depending on how high you want to record. Obviously, like, this NVMe is so fast, you could record in 8K, no problem. This is going to be overkill just for a recording side. However, one of the other benefits is if you use it as a scratch disk. The read and write speeds are so fast on the Samsung 980 Pro NVMe. We are talking around 7,000 megabytes read write. This is an excellent storage device to edit from and edit to. You will not hit a bottleneck with this, okay? And obviously, it is pretty much the fastest drive to have your games on as well. This is literally the NVMe drive I use in my rig as well for basically trying to eliminate as many bottlenecks as I possibly can. And honestly, at 26% off, 185, to me, that is definitely a worthwhile deal for the 2TB. I don't know if the 1TB is on offer. No, the 1TB is out of stock on Amazon, so I can't check that. But honestly, it's still a good deal, to be fair. Right, with PC parts out of the way, let's take a look at some smaller gadgets, shall we? Okay, so when it comes to streaming, there are a few things that are extremely important. They are not completely necessary, however, they are extremely helpful. Okay, the first one being the Elgato Stream Deck. Now, they do have the Mini out of stock, unfortunately. However, the XL is phenomenal if you're going to use the buttons. Okay, before you ever buy a Stream Deck, always think about what you're going to put on the buttons. So what can the Stream Deck do? Firstly, you can change scenes in OBS, so it's great for one button scene transitions when streaming. You can control any of the Elgato lights with it, so you can turn them on, turn them off, or anything like that. You can have different profiles set for them, so you could have, like, say, you know, a very dark setting for horror games. You could have a very bright setting for just normal videos. You could have a medium setting for when you're gaming, and so on and so forth. You can program it to open programs for you, like opening up OBS, opening up your editing programs. You can also program in hotkeys for your editing programs as well, so like snips, copies, things like that. You can do that with one button on a Stream Deck. So again, just try and think what you actually want to use a Stream Deck for. If you are only going to ever use it for streaming, just go for the 15 key. That's literally all you need, okay? Just the 15 key. The 32 keys is only if you are going to be using it for a lot of stuff. And honestly, at 20% off, it's a pretty good buy. It is definitely a pretty good buy. It's $184.99. But again, just try and limit yourself to how many keys you actually need. Don't go overkill on this. If you aren't going to use 32 buttons, there's no point in getting the 32 button one, okay? And this is definitely one of those things that is nice to have for a streamer, but make no regard, it is not required for a streamer, okay? This is just a nice to have. And then next up, we have a capture card. So when it comes to capture cards, there are only really ever 3 varieties I will recommend. There is Blackmagic, there is AverMedia, and there is Elgato. I will never ever suggest using some unknown name branded thing you find on Amazon or eBay. I will only ever suggest those 3 because they are tried and true, they are tested, they are extremely proven to be high quality. Elgato is definitely the more expensive one for sure, but when it comes to their recording devices, I personally do find them the best. I started off with Hull, I moved to AverMedia, and then I eventually moved to Elgato. So that is why I would recommend going the Elgato route. But again, you know, if you find Elgato too expensive and you do want to start recording consoles, then look into AverMedia, Blackmagic, if you want something a little bit cheaper. Now, the one that we are looking at here is the Elgato HD60X. It will do 1080p 60 FPS in HDR10, or you can do 4K recording, but only 30 FPS, which honestly, I think is perfectly fine for a capture card. You only need this for console recording. And realistically, if you're playing in 4K on like a PS5 or something like that, chances are it doesn't have the power to actually play a game in 4K 60 FPS anyway. Okay? Like 4K 60 FPS, depending on the game, is actually really stringent. Even with my PC, okay? My PC has got a 3090. I'll get my words out eventually, guys. It's a MSI Gaming X Trio 3090 with a 5950X. I can do 4K 60 on some games, whereas others I will be sort of bordering the 50 or the 60 range, okay? A PS5 will struggle on the vast majority of games to hit 60 FPS at 4K. So this is a perfect capture card, and honestly, at $139, if you are just looking to start streaming or making content, it's actually a pretty good buy, in my opinion. This will definitely get you through the entire way. And then as you get to the more you know, the more advanced stage, maybe start looking at something like the 4K 60 Pro, which is an internal card. So this goes inside your PC. So this can't be used with a laptop or anything like that. However, all of these can all be used with a laptop or any PC because they are external. They just plug in via USB. But again, if you are more advanced, go for the 4K 60, but that's not on offer, just looking at the price there. So if you do want to start console recording, perfect deal right there for you. Okay, so we've looked at all the equipment now. However, one of the more important things that people might forget about is software. Okay, software is really, really important, and this can go in a multitude of different ways. I have 3 different sets of software right here for you. 2 are for editing and creating thumbnails, and the other is something to help you learn how to get your videos out there. So first things first, let's take a look at getting your videos out there. This is something I have used for quite a while now. It is called TubeMonkey. Okay, now what TubeMonkey is this essentially helps you reach around and find out what you want to get. In fact, let me just move my my camera out of the way here. Okay, so what TubeMonkey is, it's basically a bunch of quick links around YouTube. So you can do your dashboard, your videos, your live streams, your playlists with one simple click of the button. You can see your milestones, you know, like where you are and so on and so forth. It's got your license. As you can see, I'm a legend on TubeMonkey. That is the highest tier because I think it is absolutely phenomenal. Other than that, you have what I think is the most important aspect of this. You have the keyword explorer, which when you click it, it opens up this little box and you can type in a keyword. So let's just say I was creating a Final Fantasy X video. What I would do is I would search Final Fantasy X. So I would do the Roman numeral first, and we can see just how many searches that gets. Okay, so right now the overall score for my channel is poor, basically. However, if I do unweighted, this is how it performs across YouTube in general, which is only fair. It's 22 out of 100, so it's not really that great, all things considered, on YouTube. It gets about 640,000 searches a month, and the number of videos made with Final Fantasy X is 23.2 million. And then down here, it's got the average views of my videos, the average views of the latest videos in the top ranking, and then the highest viewed average. So that is for FFX. So if we change that X to a 10 right now, we can compare the 2 versions of the title for SEO descriptions, which as you can see is 234,000. So it is less, but as you can see, that works out better for my channel. Okay, so if I used X in a title, then yes, it has the potential to get seen more, but will it? So for me, my overall score is 56 here for using the actual numbers instead of Roman numerals. So I would potentially get more views, even though there are less searches. I would get more views overall because my channel is better ranked for this. And then let's say I do want to make an FF10 video. I can look down here for other searches. So these are the most popular searches for Final Fantasy X. So Final Fantasy X, and then people search soundtrack, battle theme, OST, music. So this is a way I can decide on, okay, let's say I want to make a Final Fantasy X video. What is the most popular video? Like, what are the most popular searches for FF10? Well, there's all the music, but obviously I can't do that. That is copyrighted, so we can't do that. Final Fantasy X gameplay is popular. Final Fantasy X walkthrough, laughing scene. And then if we want to see how that search term actually does, we can click on that, and that will automatically load up for us and give us the results there as well. Okay, so if we just go back to Final Fantasy X for a second though, so we can check out one more thing. So one of the things we can also do as well with TubeMonkey is we can check the results. So this tells us where videos are ranked, okay? So the top ranking channel for Final Fantasy X at the moment is Pbird, because he has 2 of the 19 videos. So on the first page, search results, there were 19 videos. Pbird has 2 of them. I'm on there as well with 1 video. I'm sure you can all imagine which one that is. And then it basically just says like how many video results are there, and then how many people have the top videos, basically like me and the top channel. So that is 3 because I have 1 and Pbird has 2, and then it also gives you all of the top listings as well. And then what you want to do, let's say you are adamant that you are going to create a Final Fantasy X video. You can go to Action, and then you can go to Optimize in SEO Studio. So what we can do right here is we can try and optimize the title, the description, and the tags in order to improve the video discoverability. So let's say I was creating a Final Fantasy X video. I want to do something like Final Fantasy X Hardcore Challenge mod. When I start to type, there we go, Hardcore Challenge mod. Okay, so what I need to do now is I need to basically put in my description all of this, and we need to do that for SEO ranking. So if I do that, obviously Final Fantasy X needs to be first, because that is what people are searching. That needs to be first. No one is searching Hardcore Challenge mod. Everyone is searching Final Fantasy X. So that is what we are going to do. So we'll do Final Fantasy X Hardcore Challenge mod, featuring, and then maybe a couple of the mod changes and so on and so forth, or something popular that would be often searched for Final Fantasy X, such as OST, battle themes, yada yada yada. Obviously, don't make it look stupid where you just have a bunch of keywords, because that is really, really off-putting to a viewer, okay? If you are slightly a bigger channel, the description is less important, but it still does factor in your discoverability. Once you've got that, you can then move over to tags. And this right here, this gives us our base tag, Final Fantasy X. And then down here, it has a bunch of tags that people are searching for in relation to FF10. We have relevance to Final Fantasy X, and then we have score. Score basically just gives us, like, how would that tag perform for us, and so on and so forth. And then we can just like click the plus, add a whole bunch of them, and so on and so forth. And then we can just hit next if we want to, create a thumbnail, and then we can also apply it to a video, or we can save them. So this way we now know how our video is going to rank on the search, which is extraordinarily important when you first start out and you don't have an audience. I've been using this for a long time, and honestly, if you even remotely want to get somewhere on YouTube, this is definitely a very, very beneficial way until you fully understand SEO for yourself. Next, let's look at editing programs, shall we? So obviously there is a Adobe Media. Adobe has, you know, Premiere Pro, After Effects, Photoshop, and so on and so forth. This is honestly definitely something I would recommend. You need Photoshop for good thumbnails. Don't use like MS Paint for thumbnails, for the love of God. Please don't do that. So going for the student one right now, it is 20% off, basically £13 a month, because everything has to be a subscription these days. Photoshop is absolutely mandatory for YouTube, in my opinion, okay? If you want to create good, high quality thumbnails, this is the way to go. Premiere Pro is also a remarkable editing program. It does take a little bit of getting used to. However, in terms of creating actual YouTube videos, it is 10 out of 10 easily. But like all editing programs, Adobe does also suffer from crashes, so make sure you save often, okay? And then we'll move on to the actual software that I use myself, because I do not use Premiere Pro for editing all that often. It is rare I use that, only when I'm working on a really big video. For the majority of stuff, I actually use Sony Vegas. Sony Vegas to me is a perfect starting program, okay? It is simple to use, it is straightforward, it has all the tools you need to create high quality videos. If you are going to use Vegas though, go for the Vegas Pro, okay? The features and the creation tools are absolutely infinitely better on the Pro version of Vegas. And for £7 a month, it's a no-brainer. It is absolutely a no-brainer. It is normally £15 a month, yes, but obviously Black Friday, this is honestly probably one of the best deals any creator could make, to be honest. If you really wanted to, though, you could buy Vegas, which I did. I personally own Vegas. Mine is only version 16, though. I've not bought any of the latest ones or anything like that, because it works fine for me. And because I bought Vegas 16 when it came out, in the long run, I've saved money rather than paying a subscription every month. But Vegas is one of those things that it is infinitely easier than Premiere Pro. It is infinitely easier than DaVinci. This is definitely the easiest way to learn how to edit and do simple things. Okay, you can do more advanced things on Vegas. Absolutely you can. But if you are going to be a more advanced editor, use Premiere Pro. But if you're starting out, if you're just learning, Vegas it's a 10 out of 10, especially at this price point. But though, everybody, that is going to be it for all these Black Friday deals. I hope you've enjoyed them. Let me know what you think about them. And of course, down below in the description, there is a link to everything we have spoken about. Some of them are referral links. So again, I would just earn a small commission on any sales. Just putting that out there. Of course, feel free to shop around as well at places like Best Buy in the US, or, you know, some US specific stores or UK specific stores. They might have better deals, but typically these are the items that are going to be on offer, and these are the items that you would want to get as a starter or mid-tier content creator. As always though, everybody, thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you soon.